Welcome, this is where nerds come to learn things. If it's your first time here, click on the subscribe button and on the bell icon to get notifications about new videos. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoy it. Okay, this video is about a way of improving these MacBook Pros. There's a known issue with the GPU processor on these things which causes it to fail, and this is to try and prevent that from happening. If your machine still works well, your GPU is still working properly, then this is something you probably want to investigate and hopefully have someone that knows about a bit of electronics or knows how to work on computers do this modification for you if you can't do it yourself. It's about trying to make sure this machine does not break. It's a pretty simple modification. It's just an improvement to fix a design flaw in the machines. It affects the MacBook Pro 2010, 2011, 2012, probably 13 too. Maybe some others, maybe later ones as well. Basically what it is, the heat pipes on the logic board are designed in a way that adds the CPU temperature to the GPU temperature. Now, the cooling on devices and heat piping cooling systems like that, they're designed on the ambient temperature. So if you have a heat generating source connected to another heat generating source, they add together and it actually reduces the cooling efficiency quite a bit. So the effective ambient temperature of the GPU is the temperature of the CPU in this case. So you'll see what I mean when you get into the video, and I'll explain a bit better then. But basically what we're doing is putting some thermal pads in there and helping to get the heat away from the GPU and away from the CPU. Not just relying on the heat pipes, but doing some other little tweaks in there just to try and get the heat out so the GPU doesn't overheat. I've got some ideas for modifications to actually improve the cooling on this thing to try and prevent the GPU issue occurring to this machine. My thoughts on improvements to this to improve the thermal characteristics is you've got the heat sinks come up here, and those are the actual radiators which the fans blow through. Alright, so there's the radiators there which the fan blows through in order to cool it down, right? I think the reason these have GPU issues is the design fault. Not so much the GPU having a design problem, I think the machine has a design problem. Because you've got the CPU right here, that's got all the heat that the CPU generates goes up the heat pipes. Right? The GPU is here, so it goes, all the heat from the CPU goes past the GPU coming through, right? Try and dissipate that heat. This is in the middle between here and here. So the heat from the CPU is adding to the heat from the GPU. That's what's wrong. I should have had independent pipes. So I should have one pipe go to the GPU, one pipe go to the CPU. That would have been better. That way it would have been isolated from each other and they wouldn't be adding to each other's heat. So I think that's what they've actually done wrong here, is to design the heat pipes wrong. Right, my idea involves this stuff. These are thermal pads. Right, you can get them in different thicknesses. I've got a few different ones. This is one I've grabbed. There's non-conductive stuff as well, obviously. But if I put some thermal pads like this on top of the CPU on this side and on top of the GPU on this side and the VRAM stuff, I could put that basically probably a couple of squares of it, and then when you've got the cover on, it will heat sink to this cover slightly. Right? It might be a huge amount, you know, it'll be over here, right? It means it will transfer some heat to this cover and take a little bit more heat away, which is going to be helpful in improving longevity. Do the same on the other side and dissipate heat straight off the heat pipes to the keyboard. So then the top cover becomes heat sinking as well. Right? So you get some hot spots on the bottom and on the top, but I don't care, I don't want the GPU to blow up. So yeah, obviously I need, you know, quite thick stuff in order to, because it's got to be, you know, bigger than these components here, because it's got a gap between the casing and this piece here. So I need to make sure that, you know, it's going to be protruding enough to touch the bottom casing. I could do the same thing on the other side. So if I put some of this thermal pad both sides, it will suck a bit more heat out, and it will just help to cool it down a bit more efficiently. You know, everything that helps to get a bit of cooling out is going to be good. I only want to use squares because you still want airflow around this area, because obviously the fans have got to suck air in from somewhere, right? I mean, there's gaps in here, so it kind of relies on putting it through here. So it's not great ventilation wise, but if you put some little pads on, it should add to the thermal cooling capacity and not restrict the airflows too much and potentially cause more problems. But anything that helps to stop them getting hot is a good thing on these. Big design flaw. So there you go, I've taken the board out. That's what it looks like on the other side. So again, my theory here is to stick some heat pads on there. You can see the two pipes coming up. Right, so both devices are sharing the pipes. They should have done one pipe to the CPU, one pipe to the GPU. Or three pipes maybe, you know, two to the CPU, one to the GPU. Something like that. There's space there to put more pipes in. They could have done it. This is what I did it, and I don't think I did a very good job on that. But so I need to get some some pads like this, so I'll just sit there. It's not going to need much, I don't think. I'm not quite sure what thickness I'm going to need, so I'm probably going to have to experiment a little bit and see what heights we end up getting. So I just need to find out what thickness I need here in order to make this work. The fan is certainly the thing that sticks out the most, so if I just bring it up to close to where the fan is, then I reckon that'll probably work. I want this to last a long time. I don't want it to fail by overheating, so I just want to do everything I can to get the heat out. Alright, so there you go. Just made two little pads up. I was going to stick one above the CPU, try and help take the heat away from there, and I'll stick one above the GPU and do the same kind of thing. I want air gaps there still because I wanted to try and maintain that airflow through there. These are probably the right size pads. I'll find out soon enough, and I'll go to put it back in again. It should help transfer some of the heat straight out to the top casing and make that work more efficiently. Just probably want to find out the pads are too thick, but the pads do compress a little bit. Some more wire up, get that one out. Alright, so the pads do compress, which is what they're designed to do. So that seems about right actually. That feels good. It's just pressing very slightly, which is excellent. They do compress and they do take the shape of what they're touching, so you know, you don't want it to be loose, so I think that would be good. Especially once I've got something on this side pushing the other side as well, keep evening it back out. So I think that's good there. I'll put it back together. So let's measure this thermal pad and see what size it is, so you know what size to use if you want to use the same one. 2mm, okay, 2mm thick thermal pad. Okay, so there we go, I've got a square sitting there. We'll just see if the casing will feel like it's sitting on it or not. I think that's about the right size too. So it looks like 2mm, top and bottom, is about the right size. So that's excellent. Alright, so that's that installed. Let's power the thing up, see if I can feel any heat coming through from anywhere. Any kind of heat sinking I can give those chips, the better, you know. Because such a design flaw by Apple is just ridiculous. Shouldn't have to upgrade it like that. Here's what it is really. So those thermal pads are really soft. They just conform to whatever surface they're put on really. So I'm not worried about them being squashed. In fact, you want them to be squashed to make sure contact. So there you go. Still boots fine. So just want to see if I can feel any heat coming anywhere. It might take a little while. So I might leave that running for a little bit. Okay, so rather than doing this subjectively by just touching it, I've got my thermal camera out. Although it's not a great camera, it gives you an idea, and you can actually see the hot spot on the keyboard there now. Alright, so there's the rest of the unit. Alright, nothing really showing up. Being aluminium and shiny, it's not great for doing thermal imaging on. But you can see the hot spot right there. Right, what my finger is, which is right where I put that thermal pad. Alright, so I feel a little bit of warmth there. So that's good because I'm trying to get the heat out of that area. So it's not too hot either, it's only about 32 degrees or so. Alright, so that's working. You can actually see the heat pipes. I can actually feel a little bit of warmth there. And that's fine, I don't mind that. Let's just do the other side. Try and show you that too. Right, same deal. We feel the way so you can see a bit better. Right, so there's nothing there, you can just see the foot there. I might give you an idea of scale. And bring it over, and there you go. There's a hot spot right there. Try and get out the lighting. Again, about 32 degrees. Right, so, and that's right there. Right, we'll put the pads. So that is sucking some heat out as well. It's excellent. So extra heat sinking is always a good thing on these machines, but looks of it. But yeah, it looks nice. I think that's a good thing to do. So thank you very much to my Patreon supporters, much appreciated. If you're interested in supporting me to help me buy items from Mailbag or projects to work on, you know, bits of test equipment to repair, that kind of thing, any money goes towards that is helpful because it is expensive buying test equipment to do repairs on, especially if I'm not actually going to be using it that much or it's something I could do without. Or, you know, as in most cases, you can do without things. So having a Patreon supporters and people that donate to me via PayPal is very helpful. So if you're interested in helping support me and you know, contribute to the channel, then please check out my Patreon page, my PayPal donation options, which are down in the description down there. Click on the Show More tab, this is down there. So thank you very much for not supporting me. I enjoy making videos, enjoy showing what I'm playing around with. It was just originally I was going to video bits of what I'm doing at the time. I was, if I'm working on something, I'll do a video of that and slap it up, which was going to be rather random and erratic. And I've ended up basically turning my life into doing YouTube videos and buying things and trying to create content to keep you guys entertained. Yeah, if you want to support me, that's great. Because that'll certainly be appreciated, because this is an expensive hobby. Catch you later. Thanks for watching. Click the bell icon. Bye.